You might have noticed it lately. That strange feeling of being here, but not fully here. You're in conversations, but part of you is somewhere else. You finish tasks, but it feels like you never actually arrived. Moments pass, and later, you realize you barely remember them, and sometimes you wonder quietly, why don't I feel present anymore? Why does it feel like my mind is always just ahead of me? If this feels familiar, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you, and you're not broken. Right now, I just want you to hear that. Because so many people carry this quiet distance inside themselves, especially in environments where life moves quickly, expectations are constant, and there's always something else waiting. It can feel like your attention is being pulled forward all the time, to the next email, the next responsibility, the next decision, the next thing you might forget. You wake up already thinking ahead. You move through the day anticipating what's coming. And even when nothing urgent is happening, there's a subtle tension, like your mind is leaning forward, scanning, preparing. Sometimes it feels like you're living slightly in the future. Not dramatically, just enough that the present feels. Then, you might notice that you struggle to relax, even when you technically have time. Or that quiet moments feel unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking, I should enjoy this, while not actually feeling it. And there can be a quiet sadness in that realization, because part of you remembers what it felt like to be more here, more grounded, more connected. To simple moments, but something shifted, and you didn't quite notice when. Often, this isn't about distraction in the way people usually talk about it. It's not simply about phones or habits. It's deeper. Your mind learned to stay ahead. Because, at some point, staying ahead felt safer. When life asks a lot of you, when expectations are high, when mistakes feel costly, when there's pressure to keep up, perform, or not fall behind, your nervous system adapts. It starts trying to predict, to prepare, to stay one step forward, just in case. And over time, this forward-leaning state becomes normal. Your attention becomes future-oriented by default, not because you chose it consciously, but because your system is trying to protect you. It's trying to reduce uncertainty. It's trying to prevent overwhelm before it happens. In a way, your mind staying ahead is an intelligent response. It learned that scanning the horizon helps you cope, but there's a quiet trade-off. When attention lives mostly in anticipation, the present can start to feel distant. Not unsafe, just less vivid, less absorbing. You might feel like you're watching your own life from slightly behind a window, participating, but not fully immersed. And when you notice this, it's easy to blame yourself, to think, why? Can't I just be present? Why do I always feel somewhere else, but this isn't a personal failure? It's not a lack of discipline. It's not a flaw in your character. It's simply the residue of a nervous system that has been working hard for a long time. Sometimes, emotional numbness is not emptiness, it's fatigue. Sometimes, distance is not disinterest, it's protection. Your system has been running in a mode designed to keep things manageable, to stay prepared, to stay functional. And when you understand that, something softens. Because instead of fighting yourself, you can begin to feel a little compassion. You can see that your mind didn't wander away. It moved ahead because it thought that was helpful. There's a quiet kindness in recognizing that. And here's something gentle to consider. Presence doesn't return through force. You can't. Push yourself into feeling more here. You can't demand that your mind slow down. In fact, pressure often does the opposite. It reinforces the idea that there's something to fix, something to chase. But presence tends to reappear when the sense of urgency loosens, when the nervous system feels less on guard, when it realizes, even briefly, that it doesn't have to anticipate every possible outcome. Think about moments when you felt naturally absorbed. Maybe during a walk when you weren't thinking about time, or in a conversation where you felt safe enough to just listen, or while watching something that gently held your attention. In those moments, presence wasn't something you created. It emerged because your system had permission to settle. And that's important because it means nothing is missing. Your capacity to feel here hasn't disappeared. It's simply waiting for conditions that feel safe enough. There's a quiet intelligence in that. You don't have to rush toward it. You don't have to earn it. And you don't have to judge the pace at which it returns. Sometimes, just noticing that your mind moves ahead with good intentions can ease the tension. Instead of pulling it back, you can let it soften. You might even feel a subtle shift when you stop resisting, like your shoulders dropping slightly, or your breath deepening without effort. That's not something you forced. It's something that happened because pressure eased. Many people live with the quiet fear of falling behind, of missing something, of not doing enough. And when that fear hums in the background, the mind naturally scans forward. It's trying to stay ready, but readiness doesn't have to mean constant alertness. And you don't have to live in permanent anticipation. There's room for a different rhythm. One where awareness isn't stretched thin across what might happen, but gently anchored in what is happening. And that shift often begins not with effort, but with understanding, with a simple recognition that your mind learned this pattern for a reason, and that reason deserves respect. You're allowed to move through your days without constantly leaning into the future. You're allowed to feel moments without evaluating them. You're allowed to exist without preparing for what's next. And as you hear these words, there may be a small part of you that feels a bit more settled. Not dramatically, just slightly. Like something inside recognizes that it can loosen its grip, that it doesn't have to hold everything so tightly. Clarity often returns quietly, not as a sudden breakthrough, but as a gradual sense of being more at home in your own experience, more able to notice small details, more able to feel time as something you're inside of rather than chasing. And even if that feels distant right now, that's okay. There's no timeline, no expectation. Your mind doesn't need to rush back. It can take its time, because you're not behind. You're simply adapting, and adapting can soften. little by little, until being here feels natural again. For now, it's enough to know that nothing is wrong. Your attention hasn't abandoned you. It's just been working hard, and it's allowed to rest. Right here, exactly as you are.